Dadnarok reacts to Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Film. It's a me, Sean.
It's a Mario. No, it's I'm Chris here. Welcome, guys. Yeah, we have a special here for you. We have a friend of ours that has put together a video of sorts of Mario, and it's if you like Mario, I think you'd be interested in this.
Yeah, it's a hybrid between Mario and something else pretty surprising. So, without further ado, we will introduce Mike.
Hey
There he
guys,
is. Hey, Mike. Long
how
time no
you
see.
doing? Yeah, yeah,
Good.
yo. Time has treated you both well. I see you're still both as
well, you see
ruggedly
the
handsome
shoulders
as.
Yeah, we've got a lot more gray hair than you do. It seems like.
Yeah, nah. It's I don't think my resolution is all up all that high, but they're there. Trust me.
there. I
Yeah,
can't hide mine at all.
I'm getting the salt and pepper a little bit in the front, but give it
Sean's
another
been there.
6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been there for like 15 years.
Oh yeah. I just got my hair cut today, and it just spreads. Gray is like, anyway, we're not here to talk about the detriment of aging. We're here to talk about this video that you made. You and a friend of ours, Jason, shot this video to us a few days ago, and I didn't even realize you had, this was like a hobby of yours. Are you doing anything like this? But it's, it's a 4 minutes and 20-second video. Was the timing intentional? 4 minutes and 20 seconds? Does that relate to anything in particular?
No, no. I just
okay.
I like even numbers and
Happy accident.
yeah, happy accident, the best kind of accident.
But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about it here. What got you into? Have you been doing this professionally or?
No. So
Came
I
about?
guess it was about 10 years ago. So I happened upon this open source software called Blender.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these 3D modeling packages out there like Maya. I know Pixar I think has their own proprietary one, but Blender was this more like this grassroots movement to create this really powerful contender in that space. And so I got into it. I was like, oh wow, this is cool. I can make my own. I can make my own 3D animations. I can make my own just character models. I thought it would be fun, so I played around with it. I guess this was around 2010, and I started with the most basic stuff I could do, which is making like 8-bit looking Nintendo characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Mario. I mean that image of the 8-bit Mario character was
It's almost
ingrained in my.
natural.
Yeah. And so I was like, of course, that's going to be the first thing I make. And so I started doing it. I started making him move, right? And I was like, oh wow, I can make him like run across the screen and like with the different sprites. Then I thought, oh, I could make it instead of flat. I could make it more 3D, right? And so I started to try to model it and extend it out the way I think like a 3D version would look. And you could probably find a ton of different versions of 3D 8-bit Mario on the internet. Some are really good and some are pretty terrible. I think hopefully mine is somewhere in between.
Somewhere in the middle.
But then at the same time, I started using it for work. I was using it to make like scientific diagrams, and I was doing like very simple molecules. Then I started to do more complex molecules. At one point, I made like a DNA molecule that was pretty cool looking, and one thing led to another, and I started to get really into it. And I eventually got some cover art on this European chemistry journal that they put like this unraveling DNA molecule on there, and it was pretty cool. But then I was like, yeah, this is fun, but like I want to make something that's actually fun to for everybody, right?
Right.
And so I thought there was this. I don't know if you ever saw. Did you ever see this Yogi Bear alternate ending that someone posted? It was in 2010. It's on YouTube. I got to send the link to you.
Does he like Malva Park Ranger or?
No. So
Something else.
What? You go all horror?
well, he takes these. So the guy who made it, he takes this the end scene of the movie with Brad Pitt called The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. And he totally redoes the ending of Yogi Bear, the live-action CGI movie, and makes this depressing, horrific assassination scene where Boo Boo murders Yogi, right?
Oh, no.
Like for $5,000, right? What a price to kill your friend, right? And so I saw that and I was like, oh my god, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen, right? Because he told the Yogi Bear story, but completely used the music, the sound effects, the choreography from this just utterly unrelated movie. Right? And I was like, oh man, I gotta do that with these stupid Mario characters that I created. And so I don't know what my spark was, but I naturally thought, well, there's so much similarity between Mario and the Matrix. Like, these people are in these alternate worlds, right? Like Mario, he leaves Brooklyn and he enters this world where, the rules of Brooklyn don't apply, right? He can jump really high. He eats mushrooms and he can shoot fire out of his hands. Like this all sounds very Matrixy to me, right? Just like this crazy world that he has to sort of master the rules of.
Yeah.
And so I guess my first thought was, well, what if I redo that lobby scene from The Matrix? Because I know, years before, someone did they did what was it called? It's called the Super Mario Reloaded, I think. You probably saw that on Newgrounds, where they redid that scene, that entire scene, right?
Right.
And I thought, man, that would be cool. I mean, I love that video, and I'm not knocking it, but it didn't really tell the Mario story, right? Because he was still saying, like, Mr. Anderson. It's like, it's Mario, it's not Mr. Anderson, right? So I thought, well, what if I could do that and, like, sort of recreate, like, a Matrix scene, but actually not deviate from the Mario universe, right?
Yeah.
Like, how would I do it where everything, like if you had not watched them, yeah, exactly. So if you had not watched The Matrix, you could watch this movie and be like, oh, okay, that's a coherent story. I'm not sure I get it, but right. And so that was the idea. Like, how can I redo that choreography but still tell the Mario story? And so I started working with that. And so I won't say the end result because there is a part 2 in the works. But now I have that lobby scene shootout. And so I decided recently, yeah, you know what? I worked on this for like on and off over the course of 10 years. Like, I go to work, come home, after my daughter went to bed, now it's time, 2 hours to work on this movie, right?
Right.
And so this just went on, and sometimes I just would take a hiatus, but then I keep coming back to it. And now I finally finished it. I'm like, I want to get part 2 out, because if part 2 is out, then I will feel motivated to work on, part 1.
I was going to say, don't take another 10 years.
Yeah. But no, it's not. It's nearly done. I'm hoping to get part 2 out by November.
Sweet.
But yeah, I wanted to get 1 out so that I could feel that pressure to get 2 out. So am I just crazy? Like, is this, am I just in my head too much? I think this is going to be cool, and I show it to people, and they're like, dude, what were you doing? Like, for you spent 10 years on this? This is stupid, right? So there's that discouragement. There's also, like, the technical issues you run into, right?
Yeah, that's
like,
I'm not. What I was thinking.
Yeah, and I had plenty of those where I don't, I learned how to do modeling and animation just from YouTube videos, and so getting to a point where, like, I feel confident with, like, a certain modeling technique or just the camera shots. Like, there's a lot of little things that go into it that you have to, that if you don't put enough effort into it, it looks kind of cheesy, and it shows like, oh yeah, this guy clearly doesn't know what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
And so part of it was overcoming these technical hurdles to actually show that to make it look like somewhat professional, but there were certain things that were just like really hard to do. A lot of the smoke effects.
There's
for
certain
example.
mannerisms too, like there's the certain movements that the actual sprites have in the actual games. Running versus the actual motion that Neo and Trinity have during that scene, and trying to like fuse those two together and where to use what had to be everything.
And so that was a big thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's only so much you can do with like 8-bit blocky characters. Like, you'll see that like the arms kind of move around a little bit, but there's little else you can do. Like, you can't really show. I purposely don't show the feet a lot, because you just can't simulate that natural movement, right?
Yeah.
And so there's one scene in particular you see at the very end where he like jumps up and kicks the guy. Like, I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to make like simulate that scene where Neo like kicks the guy in the face and then like almost roundhouse kicks him again in the air.
Yes.
And so I thought, well, all right, there's a simple fix to that. Just do what Mario does, which is jump on people, right? And so
Jump on his head.
Yeah, fortunately, like, the Mario universe has blessed me with so much, so many possibilities that I the longer I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, okay, I can actually tie this to a particular, just a particular mannerism that Mario has. And I guess it'll become more apparent as you start to kind of watch, and we can even talk about some of those scenes.
I've never correlated the two franchises together before, but Matrix and Mario just makes more sense the more you talk about it.
If I'm being honest, when I first pulled it up and first watched it, I was like, holy crap, what am I watching? And then the more I watched, I was like, oh, okay. You had to get in the right mindset to actually follow what was going on at first.
No one can be told what the Mushroom Kingdom is.
No, it's you have to experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to eat different color mushrooms, right? If you eat the red mushroom,
Yeah.
you know. I didn't take it that far, but
let's take the red pill and start watching it.
all right.
So this is your dramatic intro here, and you're going like the Blair Witch route. Like this is real.
Yeah, that's the first feeling I got from it.
Yeah, I wanted to give it a semi-mockumentary sort of approach, and so
A shaky cam video would have been funny.
So now, straight from the
I love
the instruction booklet.
I love that visual. And that's all in Blender too?
Yeah. So I tried to I simulated sort of that text that they show in various scenes in the Matrix.
This just feels like the opening of a Western or maybe even a Tarantino movie or something.
So you can see like the trail that Mario leaves behind, right? The lowered flag, the damage and death, and then there he is getting ready to enter the castle. So I was trying to set up that imagery.
I didn't even draw the conclusion to that. Like, okay, he just completed the level. He's going into the castle after the flag.
He slowly walks in. He casually walks in, just like Keanu Reeves did.
I love that Goomba like just giving him a side eye.
Yeah. It's like, he's thinking like, I don't remember calling a plumber. What's going on here?
Excuse me, sir.
Metallic items for carrying, keys, loose change.
I just went through an airport.
Shit.
And then it dawns on him.
Kind of cloud that dives behind the pillar.
Yeah, he's got that old school Smith & Wesson revolver, but it's useless.
Did you? It was a choice too to actually put actual they look like actual gun models in there as opposed to just like blocks or pixels.
Yeah. And so part of the creative decision was there's only I could do blocks with everything, but then I don't know. I just thought it would be funny to actually try to juxtapose it with just hyper realistic looking stuff. So those are actual gun models I got off of this website called Turbo Squid.
Right.
That it's a good source of 3D models. And there was this there's this website. It's kind of like a Wikipedia of movie firearms. I think it's called the Internet Firearms Database. And you could actually each movie, you can go into the Matrix and see. There are people who study every single scene and will tell you this is the exact model weapon that was used in that scene, and so I went to that, and that's how I figured out. Oh, okay, well I have to find this model weapon, right? And it looks someone actually made one of these, so I can import it into my film. Then I have to clean it up, and so that that's a whole process just to kind of do that.
Well, this first 50 seconds we watched here, if you had to guess, how long did it take you lengthwise to make this?
Just to get to that part.
Seconds, just get to this point here.
It's hard to say because there's the process is not starting with scene 1, then scene 2, and scene 3. So what you do first, or at least what I did first, was you make your character models. You figure out who am I going to put in these scenes, right? So then I create the Mario model, which is essentially the Luigi model. I create all the characters that he's gonna run into. Then I got to actually create a set, and so the set had to look a lot like the layout of that lobby in that building that they go into in the Matrix, right? And so that took a considerable amount of time to just do to give it that look with the pillars.
Yeah.
When he first goes up to the conveyor belt, you see sort of the depth in the background, so you can see all those pillars, right? So I spent a lot of time just doing that before I actually got into making the scenes. And so once those parts were taken care of, then the scenes came a little bit easier. But overall, I'd say probably if I started in 2011, then maybe by 2014, I think it took me. I finally was able to get that first part done. Wow. And I didn't do it all in that order. So I did the part where he comes in first.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I got to have something before that, right? I don't want to just start it there. Right, and so I thought, well, I gotta have something leading up to it, and so that's kind of then I took on an aside, I say, okay, I'm going to devote some time to try to create this entry scene where showing the Mushroom Kingdom being just demolished and you know all the monsters getting killed, right?
It sets the mood for sure. Yeah, I like the intro and the opening to it.
I've never thought of the aftermath I leave with Mario after I complete a level. Like I never look back like, oh, you know, all these guys are dead, all these blocks are broken, you know, and this flag is down, I'm moving on. Like I never think of that behind me.
Well, yeah, no, I really, you know, as I worked on this, I came to this realization that Mario and Luigi are killers, right? Like, just think about how many deaths were at the hands of Mario and Luigi. Like, you know, when you were playing this as a kid, you're just stomping on things, right? You're not thinking about it, you're just doing it. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But you get the star, you know, you just plow through these guys, not giving a thought about them or their families, right? Like, you don't know. and so, you know, in this movie, like the only difference between, you know, them with the guns and everything is just efficiency, right? Like, you know, they stomp, they kick, but they also have, you know, they're also well stocked, right? Because Toad, in this universe, Toad is a notorious gun runner.
That is hilarious.
That's awesome.
I love the depth of field too. I mean, you could see like stuff in the background is kind of blurred out. Stuff.
Yeah, that was tricky. Some of those effects.
Yeah.
So I had a friend who first watched this, and one of his favorite parts was he thought like it was just going to kind of end there, but then he said the moment he saw those turtles start to come around, like from that corner, he said, "Oh no, this is going to like devolve into something much more, right?" They're going to do the whole scene, you know?
Gun flashes, muzzle flashes. Respect for Luigi too. You never see. I mean, you see the Luigi a lot these days, but back in the OG days, it was hard to see Luigi. Like, it was all about Mario.
Yeah. Yeah, Luigi, he got a lot of disrespect, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try to, like... I thought replacing Carrie-Anne Moss's character with Luigi was great, because she's actually so much more awesome in the movie than Neo, right? Like, she goes into this whole thing weaponless. Watch, like, right here, she disarmed that guy with the shotgun, right? Like, Neo, he's got, like, all these guns he's pulling out. The whole time, she's basically just stealing other people's weapons and creating distractions.
How about these shots here?
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to mention that right now. When you see these like bricks and everything flying towards you,
like the debris and the action of like them exploding and stuff. I mean, that seems like something pretty difficult to self-teach.
Yeah, and it was something I saved that to the end. That was actually quite possibly the last thing I worked on before I posted this video. Like, it was one of those things where it's like you put it off as long as you can because it's just, you know, it's going to be hard to do. And, you know, and so along the way, I was playing around trying to, like, figure out how am I going to do this effect, right?
Yeah.
And so I came up with this approach just from watching, like, YouTube videos that would show, like you start with a brick and then you just make it explode just by using something with it, like, slices in it all these little pieces, and then you use a physics engine to... like initially at time 0 when it appears, right. They'll sense that they're too close to each other, and so they just naturally push apart, right? And so you can add some so it's everything you see is like a physics simulation, including the smoke, where you're setting up this invisible environment of forces, and then once like at a certain time point, the forces take over, and then the blocks in their initial positions just sort of push apart like very fast. And so I did that, but in a number of different, like, not all at the same time. Some of them happened in different, I guess you call them animation layers, right. Where I would overlay, like, one explosion, and then I would overlay another explosion. Because if you do them all in the same, it's just very hard to manage. But then the timing is the other critical issue. I tried to make, because I had to make the sound effects, or I at least had to make the explosions occur when the movie sound effects would occur. Right, and so at this part right here where you're paused, you'll hear like this, which tracks the matrix exactly, and so you'll see like puffs come out sort of towards the right of the screen each of those times.
Yeah, because the timing, I mean, it's perfect to what the scene is in the Matrix. I mean, the slow motion scene is pretty iconic of him going through those pillars and Neo running through and everything exploding around him. I mean, I think you matched it pretty perfectly.
Yeah, and the smoke, like
yeah.
Just kind of you see something that's wrong, and then you have to kind of like redo it, right? Like it was just so frustrating.
cartwheel. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm having a hard time getting over this. Is all self-taught. Like I can sit
Yeah.
down and I can figure out something and through YouTube, and it's gonna be nothing that's gonna be enjoyable. It's like changing the faucet in the bathtub, or something that is based on the house, because it's out of necessity. I don't know if I'd have the patience to learn something like this.
Well, I guess it's all driven by motivation, right? Like if you really wanted to do it, you would be able to find the material that you need to learn it, right? A lot of it is just self-experimentation, right? Just playing around with it and seeing what you can do. And then sometimes you get to an impasse, and you'll be like, okay, I'm going down this road. I have no idea what I'm doing. But then sometimes you'll stumble across this video that someone makes, and you're like, oh man, that's really insightful, right? And then you'll kind of learn that way. And so that's how I, to get smoke, to make the smoke look right, like I could not have figured that out by myself. I had some idea of like how I wanted to look, but I'd have to watch video after video to see someone who got that like an effect that way. And so then I would say, okay, I'm going to follow this tutorial, then I'm going to go back to my setup, and I'm going to like do what they did, right? But with my environment.
Right.
And then maybe tweak it a little because maybe the smoke came out fast, so I'm going to slow it down. But at least they give me a starting point, right? So I wasn't totally reinventing the wheel. I mean, there are people who spend, like, I'm very grateful to these people who make these tutorial videos, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of them don't even, I'm not sure if they're even, like, making money off of them, right? They have, like, someone will have, like, maybe 100 views. And it's like, but you put this out there, right? Because you knew that someday someone was going to look at this and use it for something, right? So it's really helpful.
Yeah.
Was it strictly
so
YouTube that you used, or did you use any other like online resources, or was it strictly YouTube?
I guess mostly YouTube. And there's a lot of forums that talk about certain like Blender issues. I used an earlier version of Blender that they had a major overhaul, I guess a few years ago, where they switched over to like version 2.8, right? So the interface changed, not completely, but enough where it's like if you're going to import an old file, then you can't. It's like it's not backwards compatible, right? If you save it, then you can't open it in version. So it's like one of those kind of changes. And so part of me was like, I don't want to take the time to learn that new version, so I'm just going to stick with this old version. And I think that was, in retrospect, that was a bit of a mistake. And for part 2, I'm kind of trying to get out of that.
Yeah,
I'm trying to upgrade it. It's worth the time at this point because there's certain effects that you can do that you couldn't do in the older version.
Yeah, that was perfect. The run and jump.
There's the kick.
Yeah. I love this part right here. This is my favorite. This where he drops it, the super scope.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice that was the super scope.
Oh man, it's the super scope 6, right?
Yeah, that's
from
great.
It
So many
might be
little references like the Nintendo Power magazine and
this right here is a harken back to how you started it. You left the course in the ruins, and then he left. When you just took that shot of the hall, it's all in ruins.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he does. He's the great destroyer, Mario.
I love that.
Yeah, he leaves a trail of destruction everywhere he goes.
Well, we're gonna link your video in the notes below, so check out Mike's page. His YouTube channel is called. What's it called, Mike?
It's called Big Fonzie Productions.
Big Fonzie Productions. There's probably a story behind that, right?
No. It's just I've always been obsessed with the Fonz. Probably is. Didn't we joke about the Fonz back in high school? I'm pretty sure we did.
No,
that's
Like, the Fonz was like a staple, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess
the lunch ladies. So I guess between the two. Big
oh yeah.
Probably a better name.
Yeah. No, I remember. Like that was always like I'd always go to bed watching Happy Days when I was a teenager. Don't ask me why, right?
Sean was Golden Girls.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, pick your poison, right? You got your thing.
He thinks he's making fun of me, but
no. So my wife is an avid Golden Girls fan, and she made me play Golden Girls Trivial Pursuit recently. Right,
Hey.
I came this close, man, this close to beating her.
Yeah, I need to pick that up.
I'll be doomed from the start.
But yeah, no, Big Fonzie. I was like, all right, my screen names everywhere I go is it's always like some some version of the Fonz, like cooler than the Fonz. I'm pretty sure I have like sit on it Fonzie as a login to something, right? And so I thought, all right, well, let's make the most egregious company name I could think of, right? And then like add big in front of it to make it even more egregious. Because I guess that was my thought process.
There we go.
Well,
You said you have part 2 coming out this year, right?
Hopefully this year. Yeah. So I mean, I worked on the whole movie, like all together. So now I'm more of in like I want to call it a post-production phase, but I'm at the phase where I have everything like mapped out. Like you could actually watch it now if you wanted to, but there's parts that are just kind of crappy looking, right?
Okay.
And so like I haven't layered on any of the effects yet.
Right.
Just little things I'm tweaking, but it's not like I'm like, oh no, I got to come up with part 2, right? No, it's all there. It's just I just got to take some time to iron it out and get it ready.
Check out Mike's YouTube page, Big Fonzie Productions. Go subscribe to it so that way when part 2 drops, you'll know exactly when it does. And Mike, I appreciate you joining us. This was a nice, in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at a very cool video, and to learn that you did it all yourself without,
any formal training. Really, that's very impressive.
That's pretty impressive.
Thanks for talking to me about it. And thanks for having me on the show. I got some.
He's got a mug.
Yeah.
Look at that. I like it.
I came prepared.
Awesome. All right, be sure to join our channel. We do these reacts. We typically do trailer reactions, but the next time, when part 2 comes out, I think we should definitely check that out. We'll do another
happy to.
behind-the-scenes interview. But be sure to, if you're not already subscribed to our page, go ahead and subscribe to the Dadnarok channel. And once again, join Mike's channel at Big Fonzie Productions. But until then, we'll see you next time.
Okay, catch you guys later.
See ya.